Hi, I just wanted to try some new things. It's a Tuesday afternoon, and I just wanted to see what it's doing. Well, first off, I don't like my name over my face here, so I got to figure that out. I can't see my face, so let's see. Well, what would that be? Banners, I guess. That wouldn't be banners, I don't think. Okay, let me look for media assets. Backgrounds, nope. So I have to figure out why is that over my face? It's in the smaller picture. In my bigger picture, it's not. Okay, so I don't know if I touch it. No, that didn't work. Anyway, so I just wanted to show you some things, um, you know, that on Facebook I do a lot of, and you don't get to see that since you're not on Facebook. Now, I'm not trying to sell you Facebook or anything like that, but you know, it's interesting. So let me see. Video file. No, no, audio. Oh, nope, I don't want to do that. Okay, so I don't know what that is. So I'll have to figure that out later. You know, so that didn't work. Well, I'll figure out that. But anyway, so what I have here is our Facebook page and what the things that I've posted. And a lot of them I can't read until we get there, or I can't see. So let's click on this one. Okay, there. So we did the memorial luncheon. That's interesting. Okay. And this was at Kenneth Sparr's house. We presented him. He's a 100-year-old, one of our members. He's not really a member. He's a member of USSVI submarines, but not our base. But anyway, he's a World War II veteran. So we showed that, we had a little presentation at his house. Okay. Now, so this is the type of things that I'm putting on Facebook that I have a hard time getting, to all of our members. So that's still going on. So let's get rid of that. We're learning. No, don't be wiping my nose on TV, right? Okay, and then this was a picture I saw on the web. It was interesting. So that's the type of thing. Okay, and this guy here, I have no idea who this is.
Hi, I'm the history guy. I have a degree in history and I love history. And if you love history too, this is the channel for you.
So I don't know what he...
In 1973, the Italian submarine Enrique Tazzoli was sold for scrap for the bargain basement price of $100,000. And that just seems an injustice, because that submarine, a Gatto-class submarine that had been given to the Italian Navy by the United States in 1953, was an extraordinary submarine who had seen some of the most extraordinary service of the Second World War. And so the amazing record of the Enrique Tazzoli, otherwise known as the USS Barb, the only U.S. warship to invade the Japanese home islands and the only known submarine in U.S. service to sink a freight train, deserves to be remembered. The USS Barb, named after a species of fish called the barbos, was a Gatto-class diesel-electric submarine built by the General Dynamics Electric Boat Company of Groton, Connecticut. It was laid down in June of 1941 and commissioned July of 1942. It was 311 feet 9 inches long, displaced 1,525 long tons when surfaced, It had a maximum speed of 21 knots, a range of 11,000 miles, a crew of 6 officers and 54 enlisted, and was armed with 10 torpedo tubes, 6 forward and 4 aft. The record of the USS Barb cannot be separated from the extraordinary man who commanded the submarine's last 5 war patrols of the war. Eugene B. Fluckey, better known as Lucky Fluckey, was one of the most gifted submarine skippers of the Second World War. He was a meticulous planner and a daring officer who had a bold and innovative vision for how a combat submarine should be used. A 1935 graduate of the United States Naval Academy, Fluckey had served aboard a battleship and a destroyer before completing the commanding officer school at Submarine Base New London in Connecticut. In January of 1944, he was given command of the USS Barb.
Just
the
figured out
Barb's
how to
record
do that.
was nothing short of amazing. Among its kills were a Japanese aircraft carrier, a cruiser, and a frigate. The Barb sank 29 enemy vessels just in the period from May of 1944 to August of 1945. According to Japanese records, the USS Barb sank more tonnage of Japanese ships than any other U.S. submarine of the war. On January 8, 1945, the Barb set a record for the U.S. submarine service, sinking 6 enemy vessels in a single day. One of the most extraordinary submarine raids of the war occurred January 28th of 1945. Fluckey used a moonless night to sneak the USS Barb into a shallow, minefield-protected harbor on the China coast that the Japanese had been using to shield their merchant vessels from U.S. submarines. He found 30 enemy vessels anchored there.
Well, I've been on for 6 minutes, still don't have anybody looking at me. That's fine.
Of enemy ships in a single attack than any other single U.S. submarine attack of the war. And then he outdashed the pursuit through the minefields and made it back to open sea. The daring attack earned Lucky Fluckey his second nickname, the Galloping Ghost of the China coast. The Navy command's faith in Fluckey showed in that they allowed him a rare 5th War Patrol commanding the USS Barb. For the most part, in the United States Navy, a submarine commander was only allowed 4 war patrols, after which the Navy decided that they would become either too cautious or too reckless. For this 5th mission, Barb requested that the Navy install 5 130-millimeter rocket tubes on the deck of the USS Barb, giving the Barb unprecedented shore bombardment capability for a submarine. While rockets and missiles are commonly fired from submarines today, the USS Barb was the first U.S. Navy submarine to successfully employ rockets, destroying several factories and towns along the coast of Japan. One of the bombardment missions was so effective that the Japanese reported that they thought that they had been bombarded by at least 6 warships and a submarine. It was on this 5th patrol that Fluckey and the USS Barb went on perhaps their most famous raid. Anchored off the coast of Japan, Fluckey watched through his periscope as Japanese troop and supply trains moved along a railway along their coast. And so on a moonlit night, the USS Barb sent 8 sailors in a rubber raft to go on shore and plant 55 pounds of explosives under the tracks, hooked to a detonator that would explode when the weight of the locomotive pushed down on the rail. When the explosive went off, the locomotive flew 200 feet in the air and the entire train crashed down the hill into the ocean. The USS Barb is the only known U.S. submarine of the war to sink a freight train. And the action was the only U.S. land operation on the Japanese home islands in the Second World War. The record of Fluckey and the Barb show on the submarine's final battle flag of the war. Fluckey himself won the Medal of Honor and an astonishing 4 Navy Crosses. In addition, the crew won 2 more Navy Crosses, 23 Silver Stars, 23 Bronze Stars, 4 Presidential Unit Citations, a Navy Unit Commendation, 4 Navy and Marine Corps medals, 82 Letters of Commendation ribbons, and symbols representing 38.
So this is a little sample of what's on.
Locomotive
this
shown
is
here at the
a
bottom,
little sample of
destroyed.
what's on Facebook. Okay, so this is, my timeline, I think it is. And the different things that are on Facebook, and I try to pass them on, and there's, And of course, there are personal things too. That's from a cousin of mine, you know. This is from, you know. So this is the different things that are on Facebook. Now, I forgot what I was doing. Okay, here we go. My groups. So here's what, you know, the things that we've put on or I've put on, pass on Facebook, you know, that I see in other pages on Facebook, and then pass it on to our members, you know. Okay, and it's some of it's pretty interesting, some, you know. Yeah. Here's a letter from the VFW 491 or VFW to President Trump. Not bringing up politics, okay. This is kind of interesting. I put this on here because my last job was working for a company called NDI Engineering in Thoroughfare, New Jersey. And we were a subcontractor to Northrop Grumman, who's installed the digital arrestment system. This is launching the catapult system. But it was interesting. I got to see this because I actually ended up got shanghaied and had to go to sea under Ronald Reagan. Okay. And this is the type of thing that irritates me to a little point because we don't see it, so I don't get to pass it on to you. Okay. It was a nice, you know, ceremony on the USS New Jersey. Okay. This is from another group called Walk Among Heroes, and it was really interesting. They're doing the awards to our World War II heroes. Okay. Okay. And here's another submarine at the North Pole, you know. Quite interesting. I never got to do that. I did go north to the Arctic Circle, but I never surfaced. Another thing on the battleship New Jersey, and it's past, of course, but you know, I try to keep up, you know. Okay. If you look at the right, if you're, you know, ugly sweater party, potluck party at post 491, you know. Okay, now I don't know if I'm going to be able to back up on this, but here's Millville, New Jersey, Leonard tribute to Leonard Skinner and Southern Rock. So now I don't know if I'm going to be able to go back. How do I go back? Let's see. No, that's not going to make it. See, that's the only thing. Some of this stuff I don't have a good handle on. Okay. Let's see. I don't know. It doesn't look like I have a good way to go back, so I'll have to go like this to this. I'm sorry about this, but then I'm restarting. But anyway, this is all the stuff that we see on Facebook that I try to get some of it over to you, you know, my normal members that don't use Facebook. Okay. And I'm going to put a link in an email so that you'll be able to go see this video. I don't know how many so far. I've been on for 13 minutes. I don't have anybody watch me, so I must be the only one with nothing to do in the afternoon. Okay, and this picture has got a lot of comments. You know, what I'm trying to find is SSBN, SSN, Virginia class, and Ohio class links to substitute. Okay, now this was good. So this was just an afternoon experiment, and it seems to be working pretty good. I have to look at it. Right now, you're over challenging me, you know, as an A-ganger. I watched the game, but I did miss this part of it. That's a shame. what I like is that you see if I don't know what they're doing here, but if you see the players, you'll see everyone singing. If you watch professional sports, you don't see that. So this is the type of thing that is on Facebook. Well, this is actually somehow this is my church, you know. So that's kind of interesting, you know. Okay, but it was a good experiment, you know, but I didn't get, you know, good looking gentle group here. Okay, so what we'll do is see if I can do this. I go down here. Whoop, I got to figure out where my mouse is at. There's my mouse. And stop screen sharing. Good. Okay, that worked out pretty well. Anyway, so I'm learning. Not fast enough, but I'm learning, you know. Okay, so there we got that. And we got that done. And, you know, it's interesting the different things. I'd like to try one more little experiment before I leave. Share my screen. Let's see. Doesn't seem to be working. Oh, there we go. There's what's on my second screen. It's very good, very interesting. That's my screensaver, and when it goes inactive, it does go there. Okay, but okay, so now I'd like to say thank you. Oh my goodness, it looks like I need a haircut. Yeah, it does. Damn, boy. Thank you for your afternoon visit. Have a good day.